Hi, I'm Martha Higdon with Quilting by Martha. I'm going to explain my thought process when I go about doing a custom quilt. This quilt here is called Whisper by Poppie Cotton. So my wonderful customer Donna, she does an excellent job on piecing. So it makes my job a little bit easier because of her precision in her piecing. So what I try to do, I look at the quilt overall, and then I just pick the certain blocks, and then I concentrate on those blocks themselves and trying to think of how, instead of trying to think of the whole quilt, I just try to do a block at a time. But you have to remember, each block has to be complementary of the other block, and the quilt has to lay flat. So those are some things you got to think about. So the first thing I did when I loaded my quilt on the frame, on the first row, I brought out my quilter's preview paper and a dry erase marker. And what I did is I placed it that it was going to cover the two blocks. I then put painter's tape around it so that I know where it was at on my quilt. I laid it down, and this is my first look at what I thought I would do. Donna wanted the crosshatch, so that's where we were looking at, and then I would add the straight lines with the bird. Then over here on another design, same thing, quilter's preview paper with the painter's tape. It's just an answer sheet, it's a guide, it's not gonna stay on the quilt. And what I did here is I did the continuous curve over the 25 patch with some swirls around the bird. And then on this last one here, I went back to the crosshatch, except this time it has in the ditch to hold all the crosshatch down. And instead of doing the crosshatch in the fabrics, I was only going to do the crosshatch in the white fabric. And then with the bird, I was going to just do echoing quilt all the way around the bird. So that's how I was going about my quilt at the very beginning. So what we're going to talk about here is just the 25 patch in this video. You can watch my other video on how I'm going to quilt the bird. So I want to show you a few things. This first 25 patch is just in the ditch. So I used my handy quilter in the ditch ruler, and I just went in the ditch around each of those 25 squares. Then over here, I did the crosshatch on the white fabrics only without in the ditch. It's okay, but when you go the extra distance and do the in the ditch, it just flattens the quilt, and then it makes those pop more than the white because this is just hanging out there. And then over here, we're getting ready to show you how I went about doing in the ditch and the crosshatch. So again, we're only going to deal with the 25 patch. So I am on my handy quilter Forte, which is a 24-inch throat space, which they are now called a Mara 24s. But this is the Forte 24. I have my Surefoot on because I am using a ruler, my in the ditch ruler, and I have my ruler base on so that my ruler fits down and doesn't flip around. So you have to have a 1/4-inch thick ruler, the ruler base, and the Surefoot on your handy quilter machine. It's a higher shanked foot so that the ruler goes up right against it. Now remember, with ruler work, it's very time consuming and a slow process. There is nothing fast with ruler work. So what I'm going to do is I want to try to do as minimal back quilting as possible. I have on my machine right now Superior Threads 50 weight. I have the lights turned down, 1 for the video, and 2 because I'm doing white on white. It just helps a little bit with where I can see when I'm working with the ruler. First thing I go in the corner, I'm going to go needle down, needle up, bring the bobbin to the top, and then I'm going to do a few locking stitches, or I'm going to use my locking stitch feature on my handy quilter Amara, where it will lock the stitch for me. When I work with rulers, I like to have it in the down position. Basically what I'm doing here is I'm in the ditch. That means I need to get my quilting right in the ditch of those seams. So I'm going to hold it right up, and then I am going to hit play, and I am going to get right in the ditch. Now I am in cruise mode. And right now I think I'm about 275 on my speed. That varies per person. So what I use is not going to be what you're going to use. You'll want to use a slower speed when you're working with rulers. So I might bring that down to 125. Again, I'm pushing down with the ruler to the ruler base. I'm pulling in with the machine. I hit play. Then I'm going to go across. So to get my in the ditch, I have to figure out what's the best path. For me, I'm going to go down and then back up and then back down. And then I'm going to come across and then I'm going to do vertical. So I'm doing horizontal first and then going back doing vertical. Oops, I got a little bit on that fabric. I'm trying to stay in the seam, which is on the white fabric. Come across. Again, I'm doing vertical first. Since I have to reposition my ruler, I'm going to stop it and turn my ruler back. Go as far as I can, then shift my ruler. Now I'm going to do the vertical. Horizontal. I'm doing the horizontal. I already did the vertical. Now I'm doing the horizontal. So now that I have it stitched in the ditch with my handy quilter in the ditch ruler, I'm going to go ahead and get my thread up, my bobbin thread, and trim it. Trim my threads and get them out of the way. Again, it's a little extra work to do the in the ditch, but again, I think the quilt looks better overall when it does have in the ditch stitching because it has flattened everything down. Now I would do my digital or my diagonal lines. Well, as you see, I'm at the bottom of the quilt, so I've had several blocks to practice and go through it. What I find is when I go diagonal with my ruler, I seem to bump and it doesn't get a straight line that I want in the quilt. So I have decided that that wasn't working on, at least I hadn't even got across the first row and realized that's not working. So what I have to do is, because I have ProStitcher, now if you don't have ProStitcher, you only have the rulers, you're going to have to figure out how you're going to get those straight lines to come diagonally. I clean my wheels, I clean my track, I've done everything, but for some reason I would get a hiccup right in the middle and it was just causing me issues. So I have the computer. So I am going to use the computer. Now, I could do in the ditch with the computer, but I find it doesn't get truly in the ditch like I prefer, like I like. So that's why I use my in the ditch ruler. But for my diagonals, I decided I'm going to use my computer. So first thing I have to do is figure out what is the way where I can do the entire diagonals without breaking thread. So it's taken me a while. I may get it right this time. I may not get it right. Who knows? We'll see. So what I've done now is I want to start and I want to do the diagonal. And I'm trying to go all the way through to get all the crisscrosses on my white fabrics. So we have this program, the ProStitcher, that under the ProStitcher tab, so row number 1, there's a ProStitcher tab, so I touch the ProStitcher. Row number 2, I have this record function, so I touch record. When I touch record, I now have these options over here. Now my older machine, my Fusion, I had to come back up here, take my eyes off the quilt, hit mark, hit mark, hit mark. But our newer machines, you can see that there's a diamond for the word mark, and then there's a diamond right here on my handlebars. And unless you've changed it, it will stay that. So now I can use my handlebars without getting back and forth of just by touching my handlebars. So I'm going to start here in the upper right corner, upper left corner of the first square. I hit the triangle or the diamond. It makes a bing. That lets me know I've made one mark. I come here diagonally on my quilt, and then I hit the diamond again. Then I keep going down. I'm using my laser light, which my Fusion didn't have as well either, but the newer Handy Quilter machines has the laser light. And then I just keep coming diagonally, hitting the diamond, and then I'm going to hit my house refresh button. I want to see where I'm at. And then I am going to travel up, hit my diamond, come back down, diamond, and diamond. And if I might think I have this right, I am just going to keep coming across, but I hope you're getting the idea that I can use the mark feature. I'm going to undo that because I think I have to go up and up, back down, back down. I just keep making my marks. I love the programmable handlebars. Okay, now look to see where I'm at. I come back across here, come back down, and let's see where I'm at. And then I go back up, come across, come across, come across, come across. Let's see where I'm at. So I need to come back this way. So there will be some overstitching. And I come back on this side. And every time I've done it, it's been different. You'd think I would figure out the path, but just quite haven't done it. And I would suggest that you do it on each one because not all the blocks are going to be set up exactly alike. I mean, they are set up exactly alike, but the piecing will not be right on it. So unfortunately, I did go to each one of it. And if you look at the screen, I should have all my diamonds. There's only a little back stitching right here at the bottom. So each time I did it a little bit differently, but it works out this way. So instead of me using my ruler, I'm still going to keep my sure fit on and my ruler base on, but this time I'm letting the computer do my diagonals. So I did record and mark, and I marked my entire area. Now I hit row number 2 quilt, and I hit run. She'll ask me to proceed. She'll do needle up, needle down. I'll pull the bobbin to the top. I then hit resume. She'll do her locking stitches, and then she will quilt. When she's done, she did the locking stitch. Now I'm going to pull my thread down, and I'm going to bring the bobbin to the top with needle down, needle up. And now I have all 3, the 2 from the bottom and 1 from the top. And then I trim my threads off. And that is how I did the 25 patch square on this beautiful quilt called Whisper by Poppie Cotton. So if you want to see how I am doing the bird quilt, you'll have to watch for the next video, because sometimes people just want one quilt block at a time instead of watching the whole process. So I just showed you how I use my in the ditch ruler, and I use the mark feature, which is in ProStitcher. I love ProStitcher, and I tell people all the time, read the owner's manual. It's an underused tool. So in the owner's manual, it'll tell you about that mark feature. And mark. The difference between mark and area, mark, it stops where you stop. An area, when you create an area, it will close the shape. That's the main difference. So I really love the mark feature, and I hope you'll start using it as well. Again, this quilt is called Whisper by Poppie Cotton. Please like and subscribe if you like this video. If you'd like to see more, just send me a message. My Facebook and Instagram is Quilting by Martha. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you stick around to see the bird. Happy quilting!